Is it Open Class Doodle 26? It's another great opportunity to dive into the world of creativity, of history, of research, of self-analysis, of self-improvement. All these beautiful topics we tackle over here at the COACHMC studio. Welcome, everybody. This is the place where we'll help you, creators, performers, crazy hats, actors, performers, entertainers, to really stand out in the audition room. No matter what you're auditioning for and where the audition takes place, it's all about having a strong contribution that is authentic and delivering something that is intriguing and compelling and remarkable. And we shape those behavior deliveries over here at the COACHMC studio, sometimes with acting tips, sometimes with acting career strategies, or let's talk about, broader informations that are happening on entertainment scale all over the globe. But sometimes it's also about history and kind of researching where we're coming from, our origins, our mythology, our old and ancient culture, because that informs our present day as well. And is, how we behave and how we stand out, right? And how we kind of create something that goes beyond the average formless mass that we encounter every day. And today I have two outstanding entertainers with me on the show, because Open Class Doodles wouldn't be as funny and as entertaining, without them. And they're also great contributors in terms of knowledge, in terms of just adding a little bit more spice. You know them from the Saturday Night Hypnosis panel. We have two very, very, precious guests on the show today. But without any further ado, let's jump into today's topic, because like I said, today it's about the mystery of the past. It's about the handbags of the gods and why we find them all over the world, and what kind of clues this mythical stone, this mythical sign from ancient times, what metaphor it's then, and what it can give, and what's so intriguing about this story, where we're gonna fall down into the rabbit hole. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's Open Class Doodle about the handbags of the gods, tactical doodles for success and entertainment. And now, yes, let's see what's cooking. Welcome, creative community, also on Facebook, on Instagram. Welcome to the chat. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be an epic episode, and it's going to be a true and fun exploration of our past. And of course, we are also going to cover some more actual topics, and it's all in the game now. So welcome to the show, the one and only Ryan Roger Athay and Dragon Slayer commentaries. And please take it away, good sirs, and introduce yourself to the creative community.
Oh, well, hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Great to see everyone watching today, whether it's live or on a replay. Shout out to all the meta boomers on Facebook and Instagram. My goodness, I'm 24, so I don't know what either of those are. But it's great to be here, folks, and hopefully you enjoy this. Well, it's going to be longer than 2 hours, but I can only stay for 2 hours. And yeah, fingers crossed we'll learn many great things. What about you, Dragon Slayer? How have you been?
Oh, man, I've been great. I had quite the rough day at work, but now that I'm here, I feel so much better because I'm near knowledge. And you know what that means? We're gonna have a lot of fun. But before we do that, let me just do a quick introduction. I am Dragon Slayer from Dragon Slayer Commentaries. I usually make sarcastic video commentary on my channel, but sometimes, as I've expressed to Coach and Ryan, I do like to talk about other more I guess, esoteric topics or more serious topics. And because they both share the exact same passion that I do for said content, I felt like joining them. And now we're going to have a lot of fun talking about all the ancient knowledge that a lot of people just don't want to get into because they have no idea where to start or how fascinating it is. And you know what? Definitely shout out to the meta boomers. Believe it or not, I'm actually 26. And shout out as well to the Instagram community and whoever else is watching. Honestly, y'all are awesome. And I know most of y'all aren't American, which is probably why you like this content to begin with. Eventually, we'll get the gringos to join in, but for now, y'all are the bread and butter of this. Let's have fun.
Oh yeah, that was a nice intro, sir. Thank you so much for contributing. Thank you so much for hopping over. It's a great pleasure seeing you guys also during the week. It's a different vibe, right? Because on Saturday I feel like we're always pumped up and ready to roll. And this is kind of in between the busy daily schedule, creating content for the social media community, and also going on for our own things. But therefore, I find it also interesting that we take the time to kind of do these types of explorations.
Mm-hmm.
And shows like this are the bread and butter that make Saturday Night Blooper. I do those. That make Saturday Night Hypnosis what it is, folks. It would be great to actually do a show, not on Saturday, obviously, but it would be great to bring everyone together, a little taste of Saturday Night Hypnosis on another day to get a different perspective. But the show I do with Coach and Dragon Slayer here on Tuesday nights for me, and the show I do Tuesday afternoons as regular of Will of the Fans on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays for Doctor Who. That's the building blocks that are needed for the secondary shows around the main show. And if we can bring other fellow regulars of SNH on these respective shows, the better. The same goes for reality-based, although I am taking a week off from making shows.
What's going on? Why, man?
Well, it was getting a bit difficult scheduling-wise. One of the great foes of a content creator. But could you imagine it, Coach Dragon, if Atreus was here with us? We'd take him through ancient history, and he would, of course, be bamboozled, and he would say all sorts of interesting things. It would be good to get words.
No, but sure. I think Atreus, if you once get him hooked, I think he can be like genuinely interested in the matter.
We have to slowly induct him into this.
Yeah, just step by step, little bits and pieces here and there. And I love this type of inquiry, even though my contorted and kind of convoluted intro didn't really reflect the beauty of this quest and this pursuit that we have. It is really like to dive deep into history and kind of put pieces together and see that there is a common narrative, whether that is happening in science, whether it's happening in religion, whether it's happening in architecture, whether it's happening in the very same way people are defining astronomy and what these constellations represent for them. So it seems to be like a globe spamming kind of narrative that is eerily similar, even though these cultures shouldn't be connected with each other. They nonetheless kind of reflect a common narrative in all these field of human development, of civilization and culture, which is truly fascinating.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. You want to answer this one, Coach?
Okay, you were just ready, I saw.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the Latino creatives are, but if you want to answer a general question as to like why a lot of our institutions don't want to like dive super deep into these topics, or even it's because, unfortunately, you can thank the archaeological and historical community surrounding all of that. They have been indoctrinating people for a very long time into just accepting either a 6,000 year timeline, or we're talking like for like human civilization overall. Yeah, they may go back millions of years, but according to them, to the historical timeline, human civilization as we know it began to them 6,000 years ago. Now, of course, there's evidence that's been popping up lately to the contrary, but the reason is fear, and just a lot of people have been seeped into the dogmatic standards. And it takes a while to change that, just like with what we do in Saturday Night. It takes time for people to change perceptions, and it's a slow process.
And the thing is, when people say, at one hand, if you take the astrophysics community, they're pushing back the date of Big Bang, the creation of the universe, and even the age of our planet. Basically, every decade, they're adding 1 billion years to the age of our planet. So they're, if you look up, academic books from the 60s, astrophysics books from the 60s and 70s, they said planet Earth is like roughly not even 1 billion years old, right? 1.5. debating about this. Now planet Earth is said to be 5 billion years old. So they added in 60, 80 years, they added, a consistent amount of time to creation of Earth, to the creation of the universe. And at the same time, they're still holding on, with this iron grip on telling us, but human civilization is just 6,000, like as we know it, pyramids, blah, 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 just 6,000, 8,000 years old. So Earth is getting older, the universe is getting older, the creation of all solar systems is getting older and older, but still we are trying to kind of, put the stronghold around our local civilization and how it developed. And that sounds to me like, you're in 60 years of scientific development in astrophysics, you're adding 4 billion years. In history development in the last 150 years, there's this dogma, and it seems to be like chiseled in stone, quite literally, right? And there is no way around, like kind of pushing back, certain dates, which is kind of odd.
We're trapped in two theories, creation and evolution. But I have a theory of my own. It's the Reaper theory from Mass Effect. Every 50,000 years, every human civilization has its time to rise, and then a great cataclysm destroys us, and then we have to start again over the course of the next 50,000 years. And, 10,000 years ago, that might have happened, and now we're in that 50,000 year gap. So we've got 40,000 years, folks, assuming we don't nuke our planet to death in 40,000 years. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's also like a doomsday type of narrative that that
from Mass Effect
thing.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about it is that there was this theory.
Hey, Cannoli, what's up?
Oh, hey, look at that! A Cannoli man joined in. Yes, we got Bigfoot in the house. That's right.
A wild Cannoli has.
This is the. Bigfoot has a great. We're gonna cover Bigfoot.
But we'll go into Bigfoot eventually. Yes, but
of course
that'll be. We'll get all the people from West Virginia and all the Appalachia to join in.
Montana
on that one.
as well. Exactly. All the missing 411 cases.
Yes. No, but like to go into like the doomsday narrative. Actually, it's very interesting. So there is like this theory in I guess alternative circles that says that. Yes, it's true. There's like the cyclical catastrophe that does happen, but up until the last one, what used to happen is people were somehow aware that it was going to happen prior and would basically duck under the covers or find countermeasures to basically endure the whole cataclysm. And as a result, of course, the technological knowledge or whatever knowledge that was safe kept would survive, and then it would just take maybe a few hundred years for civilization to like restart, but it would not be like Stone Age, starting from scratch. It would be more like, my car broke down in a hurricane, but I have my insurance and now my car will get fixed in like maybe a couple of weeks or a few days, and then it's back as usual. That's what the alternative theory is, but that something happened in the prior cataclysm where things did not happen exactly how I mentioned, and that's why we went so far back. And now we're like running this race to get back to where we were before so that we don't repeat it.
And again, it's again, we're not here because we're ancient aliens, and we're not here because we're trying to debunk anything. We're somewhere in the middle. We have some sort of a theory for ourselves, and that kind of that theory is always slightly different, right? If I listen to Ryan, he has a very fascinating theory, and there is a lot of evidence that could pay for that, and thus regard that there is some sort of this cataclysmic cycle that kind of repeats itself and cleanses planet Earth. I mean, some of the mythological evidence and of course also the ancient writings are consistent with what you're saying. Also with where Dragon Slayer is coming from when we're debating, Greek mythology, and of course also, looking at the story of Atlantis, which we're going to cover in open class for that as well. There is this mythology, there is this consistent, narrative as well of destruction of this high civilization. And on one hand, there is definitely always also this tale of these illuminated beings, of these demigods and these avatar and these great, beings, feathered beings coming from above, and also sometimes from below. Let's never forget that, right? There is also a lot of there's a lot of tales and folklore, a lot of lore about the people from the underworld, from the underground, and all that. Some of these, these pieces of information that we get brought, whether it's through tarot, whether it's through the oral tradition, or the stone, engravings that we've also explored last time, kind of indicate, always to certain events, whether it's an equinox, whether it's a solar eclipse, whether it's the how is it called, the solstice. All these celestial events, they seem to be of utter importance for these people from the past, and they always associated these celestial occurrings with stories, with metaphors. But they also, they make a very clear distinction. So whether we accept that these people were some sort of advanced cultures because they built something that we can't even, fathom, right? We can't even reverse engineer the process. So we have to, attribute them some sort of advanced type of understanding of geometry, of architecture, of stone laboring and masonry, all that. So if you attribute that to a certain, culture, you can take away the fact of their logic, understanding, and of their rational distinction between what was deemed a philosophy, a tale, and a being, a deity, someone who was of flesh and blood, someone who was really physically present on this realm. So they made very clear distinctions. So you can have one fact and kind of discard the other fact as mere, folklore and superstitious belief. It's the same thing with Newton. Newton was more an alchemist than a researcher and a physicist. He had immense books and researches and studies just filled with occult knowledge, astronomy, alchemy. He was deeply involved with the fabrication of the Philosopher's Stone, right? He had over 3,600 books on that matter, and just hundreds, like a very fraction of scientific books. But nonetheless, we discard all of his alternative research. We say, yeah, that was like pseudoscience, that was superstitious stuff. He didn't really believe that. No. We just take out the cherry pieces, right, and say, but we accept gravitation and we accept the scientific rendering. So you can't have just one. You have to take both into account, and that's why we're doing these historical quests, I guess, because they're fascinating.
Absolutely. And it's great to see all the fine folks and fellow creators in the chat. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to this fine gentleman as we talk about handbags and gods, which is a lot of things that Coach is dancing, I think. Very distracting. But no, in all seriousness, folks, we will be talking about the connections between different groups of people over vast distances. And one thing that they all seem to have in common is, believe it or not, handbags, as Coach will shortly show. You can see it slightly in his background, but it's very, very unclear. So I'm sure he'll bring it up in let's first, before we show the doodle, let's first show something else. Where is this whole thing coming from? It comes from this idea that we see this commonality, that every time we look at these stone engravings that are coming to us from Mesopotamia, from Assyria, from Sumeria, also from Ecuador, from Peru, from all these places, and you can see that there is no doubt about it that these are the same beings. So we're talking about dramatically distant places, right? And they all had the same vision. They look identical. It's not similar. It's rather identical. So of course, what academia tells us is just, this is sort of the same idea. It could be coincidence. It could be the same metaphor that all use, because these
it's mythology, bro. That's literally what they say. It's just mythology, bro. That's just how they interpreted life.
How could everyone have the same thing?
It's the same bag too. Like if you look at it, it's the same handbag. The same watch type too. Like if you zoom in on some of them, it's the same stinking design.
Shapeshifter. I mean,
And
some
you
of them.
remember, guys, with the last open class doodle, we talked about the Cygnus key, about the Birdman, about the Vulture Man, also Göbekli Tepe and the Vulture Stone, and again, angelic, the Vulture, the Birdman. For them, this was a deity in flesh and blood. These were real existing deities for them. And again, Garuda in Indonesia and the Shiva avatar in India. We have this Birdman analogy pretty much in Ecuador and Peru, and with the Olmecs, we have it everywhere.
I mean, from the pictures we are seeing, folks, some of them do appear to show a man with a big beard. Others show a lizard bird of some kind. It does note to the fact that this creature that seems to bind all of these civilizations together could well have been a shapeshifter of some sort, with the ability to travel across vast distances, hence the wings, carrying an item which could be a message or something that gives life, like soil or seeds.
Ah, I got a good one for you, Ryan. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because actually there is.
We have
Yes,
the masterclass on the show. So glad you understand. Listen with interest. Hello, chat. Hello, and we have Pat also today. Lisa is here. Nice to have you guys.
With the watermelon picture, I always appreciate the wise watermelon. But no, I do want to be clear on this, Ryan. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there is a lot of theories that have been popping around lately that maybe the handbags are meant to point out they may have a double meaning. Besides the fact that some people believe they literally carry these bags around, it was also a way of saying that these were like the pollinators or the revivers of civilization. Because in a lot of these legends, there are always these 7 sages or 7 enlightened ones, bright ones or light ones. And so the idea is that these people would be an entourage of people who look like the bearded ones that we see, combined with the lizard or bird-like ones. And the idea is that supposedly, according to the alternative theories, but also ones like, for example, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, just to give some reference here, there is this idea that supposedly once Atlantis was sunk, there were survivors that then decided, okay, we are gonna go as a group of 7 on all 4 corners of the earth and just find out which primitive humans that we previously ignored survived, and we're gonna bring them out, and we're gonna revive civilization as best as we can, because we know it's
almost every great civilization on planet Earth has these similarities, and it cannot be coincidental. The only idea you could posit from an establishment perspective is that these were all created at vastly different times, and a human being, a great traveler, masqueraded as a great being and went from place to place, the same person or the same family. Now, of course, some of these could be hundreds of years apart. Maybe some of them are thousands of years apart. But they all have that commonality. And if we look back to the origins, the confirmed or established origins of each of these civilizations, they're all vastly different time periods. And they all have the same thing.
Absolutely. Now, let's jump into the doodle. So, Orthodox academia and the universities, they're claiming that the so-called handbag actually is more like a thing called dalu or dolu in Hindu. It's eerie similar also in the spelling, and that this is actually a bucket and represents carrying water. And these demigods that were depicted on these huge stone engravings, it was just a metaphor for them giving us water, just carrying with a bucket water from the well to the canal or to the land. And if this would be just a bucket, right, where there's just water, and this is the whole symbolism behind all this, And this could be, and they're of course connecting these to, if you go to, I think it is New York, you find some of these buckets. They're like pretty small. They're, you can even buy them from the museum. I think it's the Met where you can get them. And they say this is actually a bucket of water. There was nothing special about them, but they're pretty small. So if this would be, something like a tool that you would use every day, then of course it would be absolutely ineffective. It would be that small, right? And if people would go to such an hardmanship to engrave this, to put this in stone and kind of point out this bag all the time throughout all the cultures and all the different time periods, then probably this is not just a simple water bucket to kind of transport a liquid from A to B.
The life giver, Coach.
It is.
The idea of the life giver after
Exactly.
a disaster, going from place to place, being the guide, teaching the, say, proto-humans how to do this, how to plant seeds, how to grow crops, and then leaving to let us do our stuff as we advance into the agricultural era, does sound like, at the very least, a very good creation story, because you've got the circumstantial evidence to back it up, rather than a document. You have it set in surviving stone.
And people here, and Dragon, you can jump into this for sure.
Yeah. What's up?
Again, universities and like Orthodox history narration tells us, but that there is no real evidence that connects the handbags of the Assyrians with the handbags of the Sumerians, and again also with the other handbags or with the Anunnaki stories. But actually, if you look a little,
Coach.
yeah, I know.
The authority, you're speaking.
I know.
Too much now.
It's always crazy, when we disclose the truth.
Man.
But fact of the matter is, if you look into even the word itself, what it means in the Assyrian language, the Apkallu, the demigod who carries the Dalu. Of course, the Apkallu is the water giver, and the Dalu is the water transporter. But water, back in the days, was of course like it had poly symbolism to it. You could, of course, water stood for many things. It stood also for this for the universe itself, right? The Abzu is the water below, or for the Egyptians it was the water above. So water wasn't just water for the ancient folks. But
it had spiritual qualities. Yeah, like it was
course.
used. So like, oh goodness. So to explain,
no, just to complete this, I think then it's easier for you, just to make it a bit easier. So the Apkallu is heavily related to Enki of the Sumerians. Actually, if you look into the Sumerian meaning, what Shumer, what it actually means, it's just south of Persia or south of Assyria. So it's the southern part of the country. And here we have the Oannes, the Johannes. He is the builder of Eridu, which was the first city with water irrigation, right? And Johannes is of course what we have today as the Pope. He's the fishman. We have the birdman, we have the fishman, and I think we have the sunman, right? We have the water, we have the seed, and we have time. These are the three metaphors. And these guys, they are connected to the seven sages, like you mentioned before. Actually, Enki or Ea, he is the first of the seven sages who were also the first seven kings, right? So these beings were flesh and blood beings for them.
I mean, the idea, though, Coach, that humanity just woke up one moment and discovered the concept of time just sounds crazy, doesn't it? Through pure chance, someone created the wheel out of stone. It just sounds insane when you think of the idea of evolution theory, and it's great to see Moxie Dame.
Absolutely.
Check out her channel,
definitely.
lovely lady.
Hi, Moxie.
Because when you especially evolution theory, which the establishment sees as gospel, but when you really think about it, the idea that just one day we improved. Oh, bright idea. Let's do it.
They want us to believe that everything is coincidence. Oh yeah, planet Earth, it was just a rock that hit another rock, and then it was a hot rock, and then it started spinning, and it's all coincidence. And then there was this asteroid, and then life. out of
Can't
pure
believe that.
coincidence, I crystallized proteins on the back of this rat worm that, out of coincidence, through the water development, became. It's just all a lot of coincidences, right?
You know how it works? You know how I noticed some things? Is throughout all these alternative histories, they've kind of given me a different perspective in this, in some clarity, I would say, to a lot of these origin stories or these areas that are like black holes to establishment historians or archaeologists. And that is that, okay, how does something like a human being even come into existence? Well, first off, if we follow your theory, how about you blend both things together? So, say for example, planet Earth a long time ago is just this hunk of rock or super unstable, right? Let's
Right.
say you're an advanced civilization and you are millions of years ahead of other civilizations. Let's say you have the technological prowess to create an artificial spaceship or mothership that looks exactly like our moon. And let's say you notice this world has a potential to foster life. And let's say your culture is centered around being so enlightened that you believe it's your innate desire, okay, because you're trying to follow source, okay, or the source of all things, and you believe that since you come from that, it's your duty to propagate life, right? And to lead it down, I guess, a path of enlightened righteousness. Well, now you see this random planet out in the boonies, and you're like, well, shit, let's start experimenting. You put your little artificial ship near this chaotic planet, and now the thing is tidal locked, and now things are stabilizing. Then you bring in some specimens from other parts, and then you let them sit and simmer, and you tweak them as things go along. Then, out of complete coincidence at certain points, because let's be honest, that's just how life is, even in a controlled experiment, unexpected things occur. Well, all of a sudden you find this random species of ape, right? And you notice that compared to the other ones, this one is unusually intelligent, like as if it's developing tribal aspects. They're gathering together to protect themselves, to better feed themselves. And then you go, well, damn, let's experiment some more. Then give it like 100,000 years. You know, you're so enlightened that at this point you have technology to live millions of years if you so see fit on a physical body. Well, at that point, then comes the situation where this race starts to evolve to a point where you're like, shit, maybe we can make some use out of them. But then you got these other groups that have been doing the same thing as you, and now arguments start, right? Over the direction that should be taken over this new species that nobody expected to turn out the way it did, because like I said, life is unexpected.
Is this a Zechariah Sitchin type of narrative that you're
It's like a mix of the Zechariah Sitchin narrative, but with a little bit more other things taken from other aspects.
Well, this is the problem with not knowing your origins, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. You come up with theories.
My personal thought is someone gave us some help, and then everything died.
Oh, definitely.
Everything died. That's why we can't find anything. Everything. Something came along and killed everyone, and we're literally
it was an asteroid, I'm sure. Look, let me tell you,
all that's left in the galaxy, and we're going to spend 50,000 years populating the galaxy, become absolutely unstoppable. Then the thing that destroyed those people will come along and wipe us out. You know, like the Reapers.
Oh, Lord. He's so like the Reapers. But
you know, what you got with your Reapers? I mean,
it's a theory. The cycle theory.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, but it wouldn't be Reapers. It'd be some more like, you know, a random ass asteroid,
death dragon,
asteroid impact.
Let me just point out to this, right? Because again, the myth of the handbag is happening. We have these incredible reliefs in Assyria and also what we have left into the southern Persian area. We have the cylinder seals of the Sumerians that are telling us again a very similar story about the tree of life and about these gods and these beings. And again, Enki is heavily connected to Apkallu, and of course we have these stories that are also traveling to Lebanon and to the Phoenicians, and kind of invaded and kind of infected also the Greco-Roman culture. We're going to explore that in a little bit. So there is this narrative. It's always coming back about these people, and they are making a very clear distinction. That is the funny thing. So scientists always claim, yeah, this is just they were saying these were, gods, in order to make it more authoritarian, and people would believe the knowledge that they were given to them. But it's not that. They're making a clear distinction when someone who was a being that was, developed from planet Earth made an invention and came up with something. But these people said very clearly and depicted it every time, everywhere they could, like here in these cylinder seals. The knowledge was given to us. It came to us. It was brought to us. These Apkallus, these Enkis, these Enlils, these beings, these demigods, these Anunnakis, they were coming and they were giving us geometry. And even even the more conservative researchers, they have to admit that all these stelae, all these, obelisks, all these engravings, they say this, right? They say, yeah, I mean, you can interpret how much you want, but the evidence in stone tells you a very clear evidence, a very clear fact that, what is geometry? What is the knowledge of the stars? What is, pollinating flowers, building canals, irrigating water systems, all this stuff. This is like Ryan said, we are coming out of nowhere with Cro-Magnon, and all of a sudden we are, able to create these incredible cities that are perfectly planned, infrastructure, standing armies, walls built around, towers to for overwatching,
getting
crops.
Quicker and quicker in development doesn't seem coincidental, ladies and gentlemen. Not just starting out, but the idea you keep on going, you keep on growing. Humanity has literally done that on an exponential level, very slowly by human standards, thousands of years of recorded history, but exponentially so over the past 200 years, especially in the 20th and early 21st century. Now, the establishment think it's going to peak sometime this century, but if you keep on going as you have been, then there's no limit to how much we grow, not just here, but across our solar system, and given enough time, across the entire galaxy.
And if you want to grow even more, jump to readytoperform.com. Send me a text message, send me a DM, send me an email, and let's get into a discovery session. Let's find out if we're a great match. And if you have any type of creative quest in your head, in your heart, in your soul that you want to bring forward, if you want to improve on your talents, on your skill set, if you want to develop a great craft for yourself and have maybe like a secondary stream of income and start something new with your creative weapons, then let's set up something amazing over the COACHMC studio.
Don't you have like a little page or video? You should. I think you did that last time.
Yes, I did.
When it came to ready to perform. If you're going to make it a timestamp, Coach, you might as well show it off.
Oh yeah, you're so right. Thank you for that. And by the way, you can also join my free acting masterclass, April 27th, guys.
Ooh,
just saying. Tickets on Eventbrite or in the description. Link is just below. It's very easy.
Do it. You better do it. No, but I do find it very fascinating that so in this picture specifically, we have these two beings. If you notice,
the hot dog. I know. It's
not worshiping the hot dog. No. Chill now.
And that circle looks like either a clock at a pizza place. For all we know, ladies and gentlemen, they had their popular culture and their entertainment, and this was like a steel version of a comic book, but it's a comic page and it's massive and made out of metal. You put it on your wall and you go, that's funny. They weren't smart. They always laughed at the same joke. I'm padding for time, Dragon, while Coach ready to perform.
My God.
slide up. So if that
Thank
one
you
looks
so
like
much.
a
Oh
fish
man.
on the left center, it looks like a fish. The
This
guy
is
on the
Oannes, right? This is the fish god,
Oh
and
yeah,
this
one.
is
Yeah.
exactly what the Pope is wearing. It's the mithra, it's the fish hat of the Pope, and Joannes is what we identify as the bridge builder in Sumerian times, and this is what Pontifex Maximus means
Mhm.
today. What the Pope is actually called in
Yeah.
Latin.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I would, yes, it is
Yeah,
true. It is a vehicle bearing being. So if you, I guess if you want an interpretation of it, it's basically like a way of saying that, you know, on this day, um if we interpret it from those ancient people's perspectives, it would be saying like on this day the gods descended from the sky into our realm and basically returned life to a desolate plain. You can see, if you want, an example of like the vegetation to the left of that fish dude, or even there, animals are all around, vegetation is rising, the sun is bright in the sky as this
And
tree
those
grows.
dots look like atoms, Dragon. And you know what
Atoms.
human beings are like, especially
Yeah.
trolls. We go to an alien civilization, we
Oh,
teach them
God.
nuclear weaponry, and we convince them to blow themselves up. And then we just go, lol, and move on.
yes.
Well, that
and
already happened.
what Pat is pointing out here is truly fascinating, and it's absolutely true. And Pat, I still owe you a response that I'm thinking I'm replying very, very soon, and it's gonna be interesting for sure. And yes, there is a deeper interest into that as well. But what he's saying, identity verification is a thousands of years old problem. That's absolutely true. The Incas were working with the colored knots, right? They had like this girdle, this belt around their waist with different threads of different colors with different knots, and the knots would be a code. So whenever they would deliver a message, down to Peru, people could verify if this message is actually, authentic by, having the matrix to identify the number and the strings of the knots that were placed on the thread, so they knew what the message was containing, if it was authentic or not, which is truly crazy to think about. It's like an old method of encryption. And so the cylinder seals, of course, were doing exactly that because they were unique. And blockchain is doing the same thing, right? It's kind of putting information into a unique container. It's a unique seal. It's a unique pledge. You can't break this code, otherwise you will notice it, and therefore it's forged. And having a unique digital imprint, and every certificate is different, makes it also valuable in terms of, hey, as soon as I have something that I can verify will always be unique, it will appreciate value over time. If you put a watch into the ground, even if it's a $10 watch, it's a unique piece. In a couple of years, that watch is going to be, valuable. It will appreciate value. In 50 years from now, it will be even more. Hundreds from years from now, it will be super valuable.
Yeah, and
Scamming primitives with Bitcoin. You go down to a planet and you sell them Bitcoin. And yes, it's on the blockchain, so it's fine. And they're like,
my
oh,
God.
okay.
Not the cryptocurrency
have all our
blockchain.
gold, all our food, all our water. We'll have this Bitcoin. It's like, okay, that's good. We'll come back and we'll give you more. And then we sail up in our spaceship and we go, ha ha ha, suckers. And they all stop.
It sounds like a Star Trek episode that people would actually watch.
Or an
I think that's a great episode. What are you talking? Absolutely. No, but
it's just that idea, ladies and gentlemen, since we don't know our origin story, we don't know how we came to be. For all we know, humanity was a flourishing civilization that got scammed by a bunch of aliens into wiping ourselves out with a Bitcoin scheme. It's on the blockchain.
I don't think it was a Bitcoin scheme. More like, if I go off about like all these theories, it sounds more like somebody.
And then some nice alien comes along, Dragon, and then helps us out because we've been scammed by other aliens.
Well, I mean, yes, that is true. That is true. That is a one thing, but it's more complicated like that. But yes, in simplistic terms, it is. And I do want to mention these cylinder seals that we see all in ancient ruins, and even in just the regular iron, copper, or even gold seals. These things, as Coach mentions, were at the time considered to were either kept in secret vaults, heavily protected under guard by priesthoods. And, they were only privy to those in the higher echelons of the priesthood that were initiated into it. The common man was not privy to this knowledge that we are now exposed to. To us, this is like, oh, this is nice. But, and you can, with the knowledge of our modern day, we can interpret it better.
Yes,
because these seals were meant to be understood at a later time.
Exactly.
But in human history, that was the whole purpose of why they were etched in stone or in precious metals or even just in anything that could last for thousands of years. These were made so that eventually people would remember, even if it was a fraction, remember something that would then lead to this trickling down of curiosity that would lead back to us discovering the truth eventually by ourselves.
Well,
but this thing is a slow process.
Well, I'm of the view, Dragon, that when you don't know an answer to something and you need to have it answered, the best thing you can do is make it up. This is why fantasy is a great way of explaining origins. That's why we have creation theories. That's why we have evolution theories, because we need answers to questions. If we don't have the answer to the origin question, you know what people are like. They'll go stark raving mad and just kill each other, which is why, in my view, having a convincing story keeps us going. It's like bootstrapping a civilization to get it to kickstart. I think that's the same when it comes to the machines. We bootstrap the idea that they are alive when they're not, and that allows them to have that ability to speak their minds, as it were, even though it's based on a lie.
True, but one thing I do consider to be interesting is like, when you say, hey, when human beings don't have answers to the very important questions, they just make up shit. I think you're right about that, but also, what if we do know, a few people know the true answer, but they're the kind that are like, well, shit, if we tell this to everybody that we know right now, this thing will descend into chaos. So we might as well tell you half the truth, but then the other half make some shit up that sounds convincing enough with the truthful half. And now we have basically 200 different religions, and people are killing each other over some shit somebody made up.
And it's also like we don't what the UN is doing is trying to forge this world religion, which in my opinion is also, it's like Esperanto, right? It's just not right. Everybody is of course entitled to have his very personal interpretation of a belief system, of a religious practice and everything. But we have to realize that there definitely was a powerful message from the past that we keep ignoring, that we keep suppressing in an active way. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory type of session that we're having here. We're just laying down, the breadcrumbs that we're finding from history, and they all tell a very compelling narrative that it's somehow connected. Again, whether it's in architecture, whether it's in stone, whether it's in religious or spiritual beliefs, whether it's in geometry, and the very words they are using to define certain entities that were pivotal to the movement of their culture and the development of their society. It's always the same names, always the same words. And the same thing is happening here. Again, also the story of Enki, who is associated to Apollo, to this being who travels the earth with this handbag, right, is also very, very much related to the story of Enoch and the Watchers and the seven sages there and the seven patriarchs that founded Jerusalem and so on and so forth. And let's not forget one thing. If then we travel to India, we have King Ashoka, who is, to be said, according to Maori tradition, to the New Zealand folklore and tales down there, who is the ancestor of the Maori king. And in Maori tradition, we have the three handbags, or the three bags of one is of light, one is of darkness, and one is of pursuit. The three handbags of knowledge, the Tekete Tuatea, Tekete Tuauri, and Tekete Aranaui. These three handbags brought to them from the descendants of King Ashoka, who is again also connected to the Assyrian gods and the Sumerian gods. these people came down there and taught them geometry, taught them, kind of canal systems, water irrigation. We have the same literature also in the Buddhist holy book, that we have the Tripitaka. So we have the 3 bags of knowledge. Again, whether you're going to the Olmecs, Turkey, to Peru, to India, even so far as, even if you push yourself to New Zealand, you always have this bag with this, very often also depicted with this tree of life, that is brought by these gigantic beings. And if this would be just a water bucket, and this is a gigantic being because the bucket is close to being as big as the hand, so then this bucket is gigantic, right? It's not a regular bucket, guys. It's a container of unique information, some data that was so valuable that all these people deemed it very necessary to put this into stone and to engrave it in very hard stone so it can last forever. Because for these people, putting something into stone meant this was information that was deemed to be necessary to be stored for eternity, never to be altered and tapered with. So for them, it was vital to give on this type of information.
Although I will say, ladies and gentlemen, that lands with the greatest stories often have the greatest impact. I mean, the United States of America is a great idea of this. The idea of the national origins, the foundations of the United States are within reach. How it started, and in a sense, how it developed, was that innate belief in the United States of America and in its people, despite the fact that they on occasion disagreed on where to go forward, to the point of actually doing each other in, which is never nice. But the point is, folks, George Carlin said this: America's run on bullshit. And you could say a grand narrative is a fantasy designed to give people purpose and meaning in their lives so that they can keep on going and keep on growing. And when you rob that from people, when you rob people of their bullshit and showcase the entire world in its horror, you are inflicting a pain upon people that is worse than death itself. That's why so many people value their beliefs, because those beliefs give those people purpose and meaning in their lives. Not everyone can be reality based, because it can be quite frightening.
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes the truth is quite shocking.
Unsettling in the beginning, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I do remember when
you're
I
an
first
ant
heard
on an
about-
anthill. Planet Earth is a speck of dust in a galaxy which is like a sandbox.
Oh yeah,
Within millions upon millions of sandboxes. If you support evolution theory, you are a tiny ant on a tiny mound in a tiny part of a massive sandbox, and there are hundreds of millions of sandboxes. Is that going to encourage you to keep on going and keep on growing as a productive
because the reason why is because if you learn the simple,
yes,
I know,
it crushes you psychologically,
right?
To know that everything is it, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing: like, first, how do you solve a problem? First, you highlight it. Then you present the evidence that further exemplifies it. Then you go through the same stage that a drug addict goes through, which is that you detox, you reflect, you let the information come in. You allow, first off, you got to allow the fear to overcome you, so that way all the barriers are. Let me explain. You got to do it until all the barriers break, and now you feel nothing, and then the truth dawns on you, and then you feel at peace. Because while you said that, basically you're an ant on an anthill of a speck of sand in a sea of sand enveloped in an ocean of infinity, then I can come back and say, well, what is that quote that's called "I am that I am"? a lot
Yeah,
of
but-
these.
Sonky
Hey,
Song,
wait. Hold on. I'm gonna start cooking. So-
he's derailing,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Let him do his thing.
So in a lot of religions, in a lot of in a lot of mythologies, there are, and even spiritual traditions of all kinds, there is this idea that yes, while individually speaking, yes, you are nothing more than just a little speck, a little spectator, a little player in this big game. You also need to realize, once you realize that you are part of something bigger that's interconnected, you then start to realize that even if your achievements throughout your current life, or you believe in multiple lives, whatever, just to say this for the basic people, if your achievements in your current life, okay, even though they may seem small to you, and in the grand scheme of things, these small things compile with other multiple small insignificant things that, when bonded together, become this massive one that now becomes this interconnected web of infinite potential and beauty and variety. And then at that point, you realize to yourself why why great sages like Buddha or Krishna, or even you could go as far as Hermes Trismegistus, and even Jesus, okay? All these people, there's a reason why they all say the idea that, the kingdom of heaven is in you but also outside of you. It's because of that. It's not religious jargon. It's stating a fact, but they are worded in such a way that the common man will interpret it in the way that your message gets across. But to those who can perceive more, they will truly understand what you mean, which is that you are nothing yet everything at the same time. A
Mhm.
meaningless speck, yet the most important spectator or player in this entire game,
Mhm.
all
Mm.
at once. And that is the reason why scientists are always struggling with the concept of the origin of the universe, because they have half the answers. The other half, the only way you can acquire it is if you take spirituality into account. This is a lot of things that a lot of people in alternative theories have realized. And even outside of the alternative theories, genuine scientists who don't say this publicly because they know it will screw their careers over, but in private will tell you the same thing. And that is, look, when you take spirituality into account, and if you combine spirituality and science together, all of a
Then
sudden the answer is
everything
easily
makes sense.
presented.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
not it's scary. I won't lie. At first, it is fucking terrifying, when you dig into these rabbit holes. But after a while, if you progress through it one step at a time, you analyze the data as it comes, and you corroborate that evidence, and you don't let yourself be led by others and become inquisitive, not to the point of arrogance, but in the humble way. Just focus on acquiring and deciphering the data, and do it for your own personal development. Don't do it for others. Do it for your fucking self. If you do that, if everybody said that, guess what happens? We get better human beings overall. Now, I'm not going to say that means it'll eliminate all the evil bastards. No, they're
No,
always going to be around. Unfortunately, it's just an
it's
unfortunate
good.
bug.
It's also good
you know?
this way. We always
But
need
yeah,
competition.
I-
I mean, nature
yeah.
may, we
Mhm.
we need. But the thing that you just beautifully described in your poetic derailing is absolutely
Thank you,
spot
sir.
on. No, absolutely.
I
I
am
love
the
that.
tangent king after all.
You are the most eloquent tangent king of them all, my good sir. My good sir. Absolutely. Um, the bucket or the bag, the dalu, the dalau or dulu, is also heavily connected with the watch, and we see this on all these statues and engravings and stoneworkings as well. And the watch has very often this rose shape in the middle, and the rose is the first bioengineered plant on this planet. It was historically, this is pretty much asserted by everybody, the first plant, the first flower that was somehow artificially pollinated and kind of changed, and and kind of crossbreeded was the rose, because it was deemed also to be the representation of the goddess Ishtar for the Mesopotamians and the Assyrians, also for the Akkadians. And Ishtar, we know her, she is the goddess of Babylon. And so the rose was also a very specific time during the year, because the rose gallica, that was the first rose, the first flower to be manipulated and polluted in an artificial way. In order to be a representative of the goddess Ishtar, you needed the rose to have at least 8 or 13 petals, but the original rose just had 5. And so we see these gods always kind of, pollinating and kind of, engineering these trees of lives, right? And in all these depictions. And there was this ritual that kind of connects the, the science of astrology, because these flowers, these trees of life, they also represented star constellations. And at a certain point of the year during the second equinox, these wild roses, they would actually bloom. And that was the ritual of the roses of Ishtar. And let's not forget that one of the old, wonders of history, of ancient history, the old wonders of the past were the pending gardens of Babylon, right? So there is this connection of Mesopotamia, Assyria, Babylon, that there was this garden state, this perfect city that was perfectly connected. And look at this picture here. I find it quite interesting that you have Apkallu, even in Babylon, and there you have the connection again, from the Assyrians to the Babylonians, Mesopotamians, and the Assyrians, and the Sumerians. You have Apkallu here on the stone, and it looks old already. So these were one of the ancient marvels of the past. And we have this connection of the bag with, pollinating, with bees, with flowers, with the rose. And of course, this also brings us to, to the rose compass, to the compass rose. Navigation, astronomy was also based on certain events, on certain observations. So this is connected not only to Ishtar and to, and to the garden states and to the building of the new cities, of these new civilizations, but also to navigation, to time, to the chronometer, and everything that was allegedly invented in the 19th century, but already seemed to be of some sort of prevalence here thousands of years before Christ, which is again very, very fascinating. The windrows, exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. 8 and 13 are golden ratio, are Fibonacci numbers, absolutely. And they're also integrated, these steels and all these beautiful buildings, of course, and these engravings, they are perfect golden cut. It means that they are built according to the Fibonacci sequence. They have golden angles all over the place. They are perfectly aligned, again, with certain constellations. They are perfectly displayed to true north and true south, which is amazing, right? All these features, they went into hard work. They really went out of their way to kind of, again, also like in Göbekli Tepe, we have the handbags with the vulture being. So the angelic beings being always associated with these handbags, that, these ancient people kind of pointed out to this fact all over the globe. It was to uttermost importance to them. These are not just some items or some tools that, are a metaphor. I think they contain the seeds of lives, right? The seeds of information, data, unique certificates of civilization.
I personally see the connection between the concept of time and the concept of development. Humanity, in a sense, from the established perspective, discovered time at the same time as they discovered development, and the rose is a great example of that. The first example of natural bioengineering was in cultivating the rose, because put two plants together and you've got a lovely plant right there. Forget the invention of fire, folks. For all we know, the rose was the first invention, and how long it took to blossom was the time foundation.
I got a good one for you too, Ryan. Sorry, I'll be quick on this one. So
Yeah.
with
Are you sure?
never
You said
happen.
quick. What does quick mean for you? Now, in your universe, what define quick, please? Because
Are
you're
you
a
gonna
dragon.
are you
Dragon,
gonna use
you
those John
can't.
Cena? Are you gonna
Dragon.
use the John Cena meme? Are you sure about that?
Is there
Dragon,
about that?
Every time I say that, you're just gonna drop it on me. What?
Dragon, you got to pad out this timestamp. We were only
Oh,
6
okay.
minutes in, so
Oh
hopefully.
shit. Okay, don't
add
worry.
up
I'm the king of
the
padding
timestamp,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Right. So, in the Amazon forest, actually, the soil, there was studies done that showed that the soil in the Amazon forest, for some reason, is more unusually rich than in other
Yes,
parts of the world. And they noticed that the only way this could have been done was not through natural means, but more like
exactly.
if
The
somebody,
Petra Earth, right?
that somebody like just genetically altered the quality of the soil and just
Yes.
let it sit there, and
Yeah.
then it's just propagated. Like somebody just came in and did it. Nobody knows who.
Like the Amazon River is another super fascinating topic because according to Orellana's and also Cortés, accounts, they were writing about a land that is not there anymore. They were writing about cities that are now covered in jungle, and they were not seeing the same rainforest that we're perceiving today. The rainforest that we have today is a relatively recent creature. And again, like mainstream academia doesn't want to acknowledge that whenever Sahara is green, Amazon is dust, gray, and sand. And whenever Amazon is green and lush and growing, we have the Sahara, being out of, made out of dust and sand. So there is some sort of transport of, it's kind of a compensation of.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they are very similar in terms of area to the equator. Yet one is a super jungle and the other is a super desert. I mean, the jungles of the Congo, which is also below the equator, that is a super jungle. Well, if they don't mine it first, because you know what those Africans are
it's
like.
a biodome, if you want to use like scientific term. Like the Amazon is a very perfect biodome. Like if you wanted to study how like
and
new
it seems
species can
engineered.
flourish. Oh yeah.
Maybe we're now our magnetism. Yes. Charles Hapgood. I can only Shift of the Poles, Charles Hapgood, with an introduction of Albert Einstein. Great book. I can only recommend it. I just wanted to show this, remind you guys of this picture. So look at this picture, just at the iconography. Just look at it from a graphic standpoint. Okay, I'm going to show you something else now. This is how I think the handbag transformed with the passage of time and what happened afterwards. So for the Sumerians, it looked like this, but then afterwards, it looked a little bit like this. This is now Fortuna. This is the Roman goddess. And look at the hand position. Look again at the symbology, at the iconography. It's, again, eerie similar. And Fortuna has with her a thing called the gift of the gods, the cornucopia. And the cornucopia, again, is a basket, as you can see, full of seeds, of flowers, of goods coming from above to the ground. And that Fortuna was later on passed on through the Roman German Empire to Germany, and there it became the mythology of the Füllhorn, of the basket of the angels. Again, we have these winged beings bringing the goods here, the Siemens, the bags containing the Siemens by the angels. You can clearly see they even this was Germany, 18th, 19th century. So this legend is kind of, again, echoing through history, even in those times when we had the German Renaissance, 18th, 19th century,
the gods don't have the best of modesty, do they? You talk about being modest.
No,
and
yeah.
No, that wasn't their thing. They really believed that.
No.
They're just flying across all of creation completely naked, stark.
And so here you have to.
I mean, they wore robes, I think, but that may have been artistic.
One of them wasn't wearing robes, Dragon. Do you have eyes?
But I mean artistic interpretation, sir.
This comes from
artistic interpretation.
This looks like European heraldric, but it's actually from Peru. Again, the basket of the gods, the cornucopia, the goddess Fortuna, the llama, and the tree of life. They are all connected again.
Are you
So
sure that didn't come from Israel, Coach? Because that bag on the bottom looks like a bag of gold coins.
Well, good thing you say silver. That would have been messed up. Oh no, crazy.
Oh
Again,
wait, they take the bag. They don't give it away. Please continue.
No, again, I was just fascinated that even in very recent times, this tale of the garden state, of the eternal state of lush and positive living, where there is this basket that just gives gold, was of course the gift of the gods. It was the sun drops, fertility, the semen, the originator of life. And again, we have also the tree of life, even in Peru, in the next connection with the basket, with the Dalu. And this is hundreds of years later, and it still is of utter dominance and prominence in all these symbols and these logos in the cities. You can find this in Germany, you can find this in Prague, in Budapest, the cornucopia, the basket of the gods, containing foods, containing the seeds of life. That is something that went on also into Celt belief, Gaelic belief, because guess what? The first rose was named Rose Gallica, and Gallica comes from Gaelic, which is of course the old Hyperborean country of the eternal sunshine, of the eternal bliss that was believed to be west of Ireland. So again, it kind of is all connected. It's all connected. There is no way around it. The academia can't get out of this, because the same names, the same depiction, the same ornamentation, the same meaning means it's a narrative that all share. It can't be coincident. It's not just a tool. It meant something on a very spiritual, very important, uttermost important level to them.
Now, a great idea, folks, since we're exploring the concept of time and of change, is that as humanity develops, we take our rocket ships with lots and lots of storage and take a bit of the Earth's ocean into space and then just chuck it away into space. It won't harm us at all. And then we can actually see then Atlantis and try to do some excavations of that area in the Atlantic that has red in a scanner. Yeah. You laugh, Dragon. You laugh, but they're going to make spaceships bigger and bigger and bigger. Thousands of tons.
Oh,
They're going to put thousands of tons of water and just ship it up there because they need water in space to have space stations and stuff. And that will lead to less water on Earth, which will mean the oceans will sink. So a great way to stop global warming is to ship our water into space using massive spaceships.
There is no such thing as global warming, whether the sun is hot or whether the sun is cool.
It's just a natural cycle of warming. Scientists have proven this time and time again.
Again.
There is no
the sun cycle. There is no such thing. If
the idea of using spaceships to send water into space was going to be the controversial one, not the global warming one. So
no.
Talk about a swing and a miss there.
No, because if Ryan, have you heard of the story of the Vimanas by any chance?
No, but looking at that
I'll tell you.
Coach,
where have you lived?
Let me enlighten you then.
Wales.
Wales.
I mean,
shithole.
Don't you have this thing called books in Wales or something?
Yes, we do. And in technical terms, our country would not exist without England, which is probably the greatest time to say in my country, considering we were only unified by the English.
Absolutely.
So Vimanas, if you didn't know, in the Mahabharata, but in general Sanskrit, they do tell a story of like these mythological battles that were fought between different groups of gods, basically for the control of humans or some random petty shit. Usually, actually, they say humans, but like usually humans with petty shit combined, and they used these gigantic ships that basically looked like massive temples that supposedly were cities. They looked like massive dome temples, but were actually interpreted as cities that the gods dwelled in and occasionally would descend with. and they would have battles with these gigantic ships. And so,
Smash the like
it's
button, by
funny
the
you
way.
say
Smash the like button.
yes,
Smash the like button, by the way.
You
Smash the
better,
like button.
you better
Smash.
press the like button. You better
Are
do
we
it.
exploring the seed
Yeah.
now? Should I write that down as a timestamp? Exploring the seed of humanity. There we go.
Yes, that's a
So
perfect.
we have this incredible. I didn't want to interrupt. I interrupted.
No,
nonetheless,
go
so,
ahead. Now we are talking about the seed because I just want to talk about the Vimanas. That was me randomly tangenting out. Go
No,
ahead.
the Vimanas are super interesting, and it has been said that the American, troops are also in Afghanistan because they are retrieving Vimanas out of those caves. It has been said also that allegedly Bin Laden was hiding in one of the caves where Vimanas were. They were suspected to be there in the first place, and that somehow there was this connection. And also we have the Indo-German connection to the Vimanas, of course, which is truly fascinating. So here we have the Assyrian Mithraic connection that also leads us to German, also the Indo-German language, which was the Upper Ganges river area where we have King Ashoka that is connected to Ashoka, and then Cornucopia, which then was Fortuna, and then for the Germans it became Füllhorn. It became this, this new basket. So there is this incredible type of thread that connects Germany to the upper Indian cultures, also to the Assyrian cultures, and the Vimana is also part of a big, science research operation inside of Nazi Germany. But we'll definitely touch upon that too.
That's a very big seed. Coach. I wonder what that will grow into.
Dun, 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 dun. And now, ladies, what is the biggest bronze sculpture that the Vatican ever commissioned in its history? And where is it standing? And what does it depict? The Vatican's biggest sculpture.
Just
rebuild the Colossus of Rhodes.
That would take a very long time. That thing would take decades. And I don't think
the Statue of Liberty on steroids.
It's incredible.
And more testosterone.
But if you go to the Vatican Museum and then you go into the garden, you will see this incredible thing here, which is the Pigna, which is a gigantic pine cone. It is the biggest sculpture that was ever commissioned by the Vatican. And again, we have this, this another attribute, another facet of these ancient stories, and they were flanked by peacocks. And we know that the peacock is, of course, standing also for the old Greek mythology and the connection there.
It's very interesting, Coach, that you bring this up, because for any, it would have sounded better if you had it kept up, Coach. But
I'm sorry.
What I was going to say, folks, is that based on what we saw right there, no, actually,
look at this. This is a human being. Look at this sculpture.
It was more the statement next to it than the pine cone. For any Muslim fans, and as Coach disappears, it did say Temple of Isis. And welcome to the reality-based takeover of Open Class Doodles. I hope you're all doing well.
Oh, there you go. He's back.
Oh no, Coach is back.
Look, you got fucked now, sir.
I'm sorry for that. Wrong button. I'm sorry. No, it's a live show. Wait. Hey guys, it's a live show.
I want to mention something that I think was a pretty cool.
Look, it says Temple of Isis. So any Muslim fans out there, there's your shout out.
No, it's also very interesting that you have an Isis temple inside of the Vatican, which shows that the Maria, Miriam, Isis, Diana, it's all the same. Of course, Maria, the mother, the virgin with the baby, is Isis. She's the goddess of the moon. That's why Maria is always standing on the moon. And they are using the old symbols. They're just giving them a new label. They're inventing new saints or new saint stories and apocryphs and all that stuff to kind of give them a new label. But actually, these mythologies are all very ancient. They have a unique combined source, and they're just showing them in different sides of this planet with different names.
You know what's crazy? The place. You know for quite some time that the way the Vatican is designed, if you look at it from the air, it looks like a very big keyhole, right? And ironically speaking, it's interesting that
Absolutely.
St. Peter's Basilica is like a seed that is sprouting from the keyhole. You know,
Yes.
I think that was very interesting. Now, of course, the courtyard where the Pigna is located at is to, if you look at it from the
Well, that was a very
perspective of the
interesting
map.
question that I saw.
What?
Why is there a giant pine cone at the Vatican?
Oh,
Because simple things please simple minds.
yeah, but also there is like there is like some mythological. There's some esoteric implications with the seed. You know, the idea that
You know the old shepherd's rod, you know, the rod and the
Yes.
staff?
yeah, of
It
course.
looks like an abortion aid for animals.
If you look at the Pope's, yeah,
What the fuck? Okay,
It looks like an
Ryan
aid.
with the
It looks like
Ryan
an
with the
aid
edgy
to
jokes.
get the
Everyone.
lamb out.
so here we have
Every
it
once in a while.
very, yeah, here we have it also very, very clearly. You have the pine cone Pope staff,
There you
which
go.
is right, and you have the pine cone in combination with the Pope in his back as well. The Jesus is born out of the pine cone, according to the Vatican, right? It's the Mithraic symbolism, because Adonai or Mithra, they are the pine cone gods, whether that was of Persia or of the Lebanon area that then was adopted also by the Hebrew tradition. So Adonai, Mithra, Jesus, they're all pine cone gods. That's why you have the Pigna, ironically dedicated into a temple, ironically dedicated to Isis, that displays that gigantic. Like, guys, if you travel to Vatican Gardens, it's amazing. You see that it's absolutely flabbergasting how big and tall this thing is, and they want to make it very clear that this is like a central thing to their belief. It's the pine cone, the pineal gland, right? The
So if you
so-called
want to
third eye.
send a gift to a Catholic either on Christmas or on their birthday, give them a pine cone.
Yes.
They'll appreciate it. They'll even say, "What the fuck is this?" Oh, it's a pine cone.
This is
With
your
nose drug.
religion. A
This is-
pine cone.
It is. It
You
is.
know,
Basically.
new beginnings.
So these are the seeds, Dragon.
Yes.
These
Yes.
are the seeds.
Correct.
Can you
Yes.
eat pine cones?
Yes, sure. You can eat pine cone
Well,
seeds.
then you can say
yeah.
this is your Christmas dinner, a pine cone.
Damn. Yes. Ryan, the reality-based tangent king. We're gonna come
of
up with
course.
titles. We're gonna come up with titles for all the tangent kings, of course.
Yes, of course.
But you know,
We need
I do
those.
have to mention, like, yeah, the whole thing about the seeds as well. Like, I find the bag to be more fascinating because I remember hearing a alternative theory that what was being carried in those bags besides seeds were also
Pine
like
cone?
yes,
Aren't
no.
pine
God
cones
damn it,
seeds?
Brian, hold on 2 seconds. Yes,
Are they
what-
seeds, Dragon? Are pine cone seeds?
Yes, they are.
Oh,
God
so
damn it.
maybe they were just spreading pine cones everywhere.
Yes and no. Yes. Right. So no. Wait. Hold on. So
Or
with these
feeding the
bags-
ancient humans pine cones. Here's your food. Now worship us. That's why they have the pine cone in the Vatican.
No, they had electromagnetic powered rods that they could just use to scare the shit out of them. Anyway, that's different matter. But one thing I noticed about these bags that I find interesting is just there was an alternative theory that besides the usual seeds of civilization or like literal seeds, there was also this idea that maybe what they were carrying around in these bags were also DNA samples, because there was this theory that, hey, you know, if these so-called gods or enlightened beings were, say, survivors of Atlantis mixed in with other people, they already would have probably prepared before a cataclysm hit, and they would have created these arks, which no, it's not Noah's Ark. I'm sorry, it's not a gigantic ass boat. It's more like an underground chamber hidden beneath a pyramid or some underground cave system. Okay, it would have been stored underground, and they would have been stored in a cold place. And these chambers would have contained an ark in a different form. Correct. And the idea was that you would preserve the DNA samples of whatever living beings you wanted to restore after the cataclysm annihilated them. And you could say that not only are these the pollinators of civilization, but also the revivers of life, because they would use DNA samples in order to basically inseminate whatever was alive
Yes.
or clone it using their technology, and then throw that shit out the window, throw them out in the wild and let life do its thing, which is
The thing
eat,
that,
procreate, and die.
yeah,
And eventually they'll become smarter and they can teach them extra shit. Mostly it was for the poor humans that survived. They're like, oh shit, y'all don't have any animals to pet. We need to, or grass to touch. You're gonna get some of that.
Here's a pine cone.
You and the fucking pine cone.
How do you spell pine cone? Because I'll just trigger all Catholics by just saying,
why
"Here
do
is
you
your
call it?
God.
Why do you call it
God."
pineapple? For the rest of the world, it's ananas or ananas.
Yeah, ananas.
But
Sounds too much like anus, Coach. That's not going to work with the
because
Catholic.
you guys you're devious beings. Because why you think about these filthy things when you're eating a juicy, beautiful, sugary food?
Pine cone.
Why you think pine cone? It's beautiful. We're trying to, we're trying to look, behind the veil of mystery of the past. And
what is the superpower of the Catholic Church? A pine cone.
And a rod.
That's what they should do every time there's like a great mass at the Vatican. Everyone just brings a pine cone.
I think this is what they do.
Oh shit! But no, wait. We got to talk about the what's it called, the watches, because what's crazy? There has been like so Ryan, if you didn't know, in archaeology there is a term that's called OO parts or OO parts. Basically, it means out of place artifacts. So that's the categorization that.
Is the pine cone an out of place artifact?
No.
Pine cones, depends where you find the pine cone, Ryan.
They had pine cone radar detection technology.
Oh my.
No, but there were like these OO parts that were discovered, where some of these literally were just watches buried under strata of rocks that were like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old.
Yes.
And even the discovery of these clock-like devices from like the times of ancient Greece, like the ancient Greece that we know, not like mythological or anything, like our current knowledge of ancient Greece. Okay. And these things operated like modern clocks, maybe a little bit, clunky and big, but like they were clock-like devices that were pretty good at telling the time in that period.
I just like to say, Dragon, as I was criticizing the Lord and his holy pine cone, my entire setup has completely retarded itself. I can't see any of you. You can barely see the chat. It's just black and white. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, I have infringed upon the Lord and his holy pine cone.
We can see you. It's okay. We'll tell you what happens.
I know, but my system looks completely retarded. It's like it suffered a stroke.
The Lord felt offended that you were criticizing his pine cones.
I'm going to print my screen and show it to you guys, because this is the holy pine cone right here. So I'll be right back. Hopefully all will go well.
Oh man! Pray to the Lord of the holy pine cones that Ryan's potato computer. Oh God, no!
It happened. Of course, it had to happen.
It had to happen. He was offending. His sacrilege against the holy pine cone was too much.
These things are real. They're not. Now, we want him back.
I think we need him back, right? I mean, if he return.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he is the edgy reality-based tangent king. It would be weird.
He is.
It would be like,
No,
if we're running.
The chat loves him. I mean, what can I do? It's the crowd asking for him.
I know, right? No,
but peasants, those damn peasants, man.
We're playing the Holy Trinity model here at this point. I'm the one in the middle. You're the one up there, and Ryan is just like fucking Araman at this point.
Let's bring him in. Araman, hey, what's up, my
Oh, dude, you know, I got a perfect
Reality-based 1, pine cones nil.
man?
hey, I got a perfect Tangent King title for you, okay?
Mhm.
Reality-based Araman. Just fucking piss off the random Gnostics that are gonna be watching this shit. They're like, how dare you?
I mean,
Yes,
come
that is
on, come on. It's so there. If Islam had a giant pine cone in Mecca instead of a
God.
cube, I mean, the Catholics worship a pine cone, and
They
the
do.
Muslims dance around a cube. From a
Yeah.
reality-based perspective, you're all nutters.
I mean,
But
yeah,
it's bootstrapping your origin story, like I said before. Yes, we find meaning out of dancing around a Borg cube, which seems to have been left there to indoctrinate us all.
I mean, the Indians bathe themselves in a holy river that literally has shit flowing down its currents. So
So you have like
everybody has some weird shit.
three choices, folks: dance around a cube, worship a pine cone, or bathe in shit.
In America, the holy god is guns
Money.
and money. Well, for the rednecks, for the country Hicks, it's guns. Yeah, for the establishment, it's definitely money. And in Latin America, Jesus Christ, Latin America is just fanaticism.
Cocaine.
They can cocaine.
They
the
worship
cartel.
cocaine.
They worship the cartel. They provide them with cocaine that Coach then later sells down the line.
Thank you for exposing my business move.
No, but we were talking about the right. To
Well,
get
if
back
you
on topic.
folks, if you ever happen to argue with a Catholic, just say that they worship a pine cone. If you ever argue with a Muslim, say they dance around a cube. And if you ever argue with an Indian, just say that their entire civilization is based on bathing in a shitty river. So there you go.
And now we have-
And now we're not only demonetized but demonized as well. That's beautiful.
Yes.
I think YouTube has to invent like a strike system just for us, like all the offenses, all the
Yeah,
offenses
right.
that they're bringing out.
And don't get me started with the tiny hats. They literally tell Jesus to boil in fucking shit. So yeah, that's
true.
very positive.
But so we have Pontifex, who is a copy of Oannes, who is the doggone, of course, like I think it was Dungeon Master Blaster who rightfully said that the Dogon god, right? The fish god of the Dogons in Mali, who mapped Sirius more precisely than most of our modern instruments, knowing that it was a trilateral star system way before NASA did, which is quite fascinating for a primitive culture somewhere in Africa, in Western Africa, right? And so the Dogons and the Sumerians, the Assyrians, they had this belief of the fish god, of this king of the fishermen who was coming, out of the water. Again, also similar to the Hindu, to the Bok saga in Norse mythology, to many other mythologies that we will also cover here. And they were wearing these hats, the Mithra hat, which is the fish hat, and of course the Vesica Pisces, right? The Vesica Pisces it's the golden almond. It's everything we're seeing in symbology has been used by all these various cultures, just with a different label, but pretty much signifying the same thing over and over again. And the one who's holding the staff, the one who's holding the rod, the one who's holding the pine cone is not just simply agriculture. It's not just simply water irrigation system, which again is already an immense feature. And of course, it permits civilization and culture to thrive and to blossom. Changing from settlers to real cities, to fortified cities, star fort cities, and all these different building structures and urban structures popping out of nowhere. So this is already very important. But it wasn't just a physical aspect that these deities, these demigods were transporting. It was also a very spiritual aspect, like Dragon Slayer was hinting at, right? The pine cone, of course, even though scientists, from the established academia perspective, they neglect the fact that somehow the pine cone could be related to the pineal gland. But if you look into Egyptian mythology, it is so clear that the Eye of Horus, the pineal gland, the stuff of Anubis, right? The Kundalini snakes dancing around the pine cone, the light aspect, the dark aspect, that also for the Buddhists, played a major role in the development of knowledge and spiritual improvement. That was not just a fact of agriculture, that they weren't just talking about fruits blossoming up on the field or in the gardens. No, they were talking about the spiritual fruits that were blossoming up. They were talking about the seeds of information, data that kind of let them on a path of enlightenment and spiritual awakening, quite literally. And where do we get the proof? Because if you look at these cities, the organization, the way they live together, and how they blossomed and how they harmonically, of course, some of them they were sacrificing animals. Some of them even went so far to make human sacrifices like a normal thing. And that is, of course, the perversion of these glorified dystopias, utopias that were all over the place. I think that's already the corrupt version. I think the original conception of these immaculate cities where we're coming from a good place, and these deities brought all these incredible knowledge pieces to these people, helping them to develop a healthy structure of society.
I mean, just looking at the comparison between the Eye of Horus and a part of the human brain, it does tell you that there is a deep level of understanding. But knowing Egyptians, both ancient and present, it would not surprise me one bit if some crazy motherfucker just took a stone, stoned a woman to death, because they usually do that over there, and saw, oh, look, an interesting pattern formation. I'll draw that. And, oh, this looks great. The Eye of Awakening, the Eye of Horus, because Horus sounds like whore, but we'll make it positive instead of negative, and that would be
fantastic.
a great origin story from this negative whorish bitch to this positive Eye of Horus.
You're definitely fucking Edgy Airman. That's your fucking title. Now
I love that.
Edgy Airman is your goddamn nickname. Okay.
The question is, where does the pineapple go? Do they eat it, or do they stick it somewhere that gives the Catholic Church a very bad reputation?
I think it is a Terry Gilliam movie that exemplifies pretty nicely where Adolf Hitler gets his pine cone.
Oh God. Well, we're going so off deep end out of nowhere. But like,
just look at Shiva. Yeah. That doesn't look like a pine cone. It looks like someone shat on her head in the shitty river.
No,
that's why Shiva is so fucking angry the entire time and is called the Destroyer of Worlds.
Yes,
somebody shat on their head and he's so pissed off.
It's a reason for the wrathful nature of that being.
Yeah, but interesting enough. Yes, I do find it very fascinating that there's always like this connection of of the pineal gland in everything. And all these seeds, obviously, they're always sprouting up to point to the heavens, sort of like as the origin of, in a lot of these religions and ancient societies. Yeah, like the origin of, okay, so I guess in spirituality, there is this idea that you have the enlightened spiritual version of yourself that is always above you. There is your physical self, which is basically your current motor unit, your body, in other words. And then you have the heart, which is the divine trifecta of the human experience. The heart is the middleman that makes the human experience
the event horizon.
It's where the soul resides. And sometimes the seed is used as a way to represent the heart as well.
So the heart is a pine cone.
Oh my God, you motherfucker! You and the goddamn pine cone.
Mute this guy, or I would love to.
You're the mod. You're the mod. You can mute him.
Look. Let's just face it. Devil worshippers out there, they see that pine cone on the end of everything. Of course, they're going to consider it a sex aid. That's the kind of evil, twisted, demented people we're dealing with.
Which also the interesting thing why we have the pine cone, of course, the pine cone represents for, of course, the pine tree that is the ever blooming tree, and it gives birth in the Christmas time. It gives birth to the mushroom, to the red white mushroom of Mithra. And when we see the Mithra head that is red and white, we have the mushroom head. And Mithra being also the head of the bishops that are, coming and being gathered in Rome and the council. And then the Archbishop of Rome then becomes the pontifex. So he is the wearer of the mushroom head that represents the pine tree, because the mushroom always, is been born in this shadow of the pine cone. So we have, there is another connection that is telling us that, of course, mushrooms, and we know that from the Elysian mystery cults, the Nazirian mystery cults, the Essenian mystery cults, all these mystery religions from the past, the Alexandrians, they were all connected to, kind of consuming beer with mushrooms themselves, or other, reality enhancing, consciousness altering substances that were bringing them together with these magnificent beings that were kind of transmitting them their holy information. So the pinecone, connected also to Christmas, is a connection also to these cults, to these cryptic cults that were celebrating their rituals beneath the earth, right, in those tunnel systems and those ancient facilities to really to have that sensorical deprivation and enhancing their consciousness in order to finally connect with the deities.
I mean, the idea of the three gifts to the baby Jesus, gold, frankincense, myrrh. There have been attempts to replicate that journey in a more modern setting. It's easy to find gold. It's a bit more difficult to find frankincense. Literally no one in that area knows what myrrh is. It was some sort of grounded substance. Something tells me it was a ground-up pine cone.
You can
I also have other things to say in regards to the mushroom hats. So basically, Toad from Super Mario was inspired by the Pope.
In a way, yes.
Yeah, in a way, I guess, yeah. When you think,
I can't think of the other mushroom.
I like that.
In Super Mario, but I know Toad.
I had to make this joke because we're talking about pine cones, but
humor attracts more people, Coach. So that's the thing.
Well,
you're right. I'm lacking humor big time, and I'm thanking you so much for this valuable contribution. I'm serious.
Because you have your valuable contribution. Come again.
Because you have a very, very ironic and very thoughtful intellectual contribution to the humor, also coming from this, very, very ancient place called England, where we have British humor, which is intelligent humor. And so thank you so much.
Well, I'd just like to say shout out to Moxie Dame. She's very attractive, but unfortunately, she is already taken.
By the pine cone.
Not by the pine cone. By
Sir Pine Cone. Yes, by Sir Pine Cone. Oh, by the way, before Jennifer Lawrence, there were pine cones. I need to make this clear because Jennifer Lawrence saying
but she's the inventor. Wasn't she? She was even the inventor of the pine cone?
She is not the first before the Big Bang. That is fake news, man. That is fake news.
The next time I talk to a Catholic-based content creator, I'm going to tell them you worship a pine cone. And then just show them the pine cone statue in the Vatican.
You worship the pine cone of Jesus. What?
And your leader wears the mushroom hat.
Oh, Lord. You know what's crazy? Oh, God. But, man. Okay, are we still on the pine cone? I assume.
Yeah, we're exploring
somewhere.
Are we on the watch now? I forgot which. I know
we've done the watch. We're currently on exploring the Pope, the pine cone, and Mithra hats, and links to symbols and brain parts.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, good. So yeah, I always thought it was very interesting because like the whole symbolism behind these cone hats and these seeds, at the end of the day, they're all pointing up, giving the indication that, hey, this idea, according to these cultures anyway, are divinely inspired and that they come from the heavens. These are not mere mortal things. But then
you think, Dragon, can a hat point down?
No, it can only point up. You can turn it upside down and it'll point. It'll point down.
It points up. That would, think in my mind. Well, can a hat point down?
It can't point down, but you have. But the crazy thing is, if you have to turn it upside down. But then, from the perspective of the hat, it's technically pointing up from a different perspective. See, psych.
That doesn't look like a tree, though. That looks like a syringe surrounded by a bush.
What? Where are you getting a syringe?
Syringe surrounded by a bush.
You know,
That's
you take the syringe, you put
Oh
it
my
into the
God.
ground, you inject the ground, you purify it and make it good, and then the bush grows around it, and that's how you get roses.
What kind of
and
syringe? What kind of syringe have you been exposed to? Because
an
that
Art
shit
Deco one.
No, but like, yeah. Oh, you're gonna be talking about the. All right, so the astral. Are we talking about the like astral gates of life, or oh no, never mind, never mind. That's for a different. That's for a different stream. Never mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is like them.
It's like an air
sprouting the
pump
seeds.
dragon. You put something into the ground and it pumps
Oh,
air
God.
into it, but instead of air,
This
it's
motherfucker.
the life energy that these great.
Oh,
Araman, the guardian of reality.
Look at
Yes,
this.
he is mimicking that shit to the bone. But no, yeah. What's crazy is I always find it very fascinating that it's always the reptilian-looking bird-like beings that are the ones sprouting the seeds of life. Because in all these stories, they always mention that the reptilian ones. Yes, I know. Very, very, very typical of the man.
He's in delusional state. Always when you get
Yes.
close to the truth, you have to kind of refute.
I
and
wonder,
refute that
do
other
these
way.
birdmen lay eggs from where do they lay the eggs from?
Well, supposedly, if I go by alternative theories, they were like very shitty hybridization experiments gone wrong, and somebody
Maybe they're
felt very sorry
trans.
for them.
Don't
Maybe
you
these
think
creatures
these
are
look
trans.
like Terminator legs? Like these are gyroscopes and
Oh yeah,
these
they can
mechanical
look like.
leg.
You
Look
could
at
say
these-
they look like fucking robots too. I mean, that's
don't
that
you
can be
think? Look at
interpreted.
bracelets, all these metal
Yeah.
applications onto the skin, the watches.
Oh
and
yeah,
it
they
looks
look more
a-
like spacesuits. If I'm being
this look-
honest, like
I
it looks
mean,
more like
what kind of ancient culture depicts a deity with these almost like this is how today
So the
like
ancient
cyber prosthetics.
beings, so the ancient
look like.
beings that saved us were trannies.
not trannies. No,
They're
No, they were
transformative.
not training.
Oh. Well, they might have been cyborgs. They may have been simply people wearing very complex
Well, it's a
spacesuits where the
form of
helmets look
transformation,
like birds.
dragon.
Right.
Instead of it being chemical and biological like the tranny demons, it is technological, which is also a
Yes.
form of transformation, which you can also call tranny. Now, changing the bodily form is seen as demonic in the most advanced religions, so you could make the argument that these are bioengineered tranny demons.
That or a bunch of dudes in like very very cool looking spacesuits wearing bird hats. I'm just saying it could go both ways, Ryan. They don't. Doesn't
Could you
always have to go
imagine
back.
the progenitors of civilization are the current people we're calling crazy?
Yeah, it's absolutely
Yeah.
nuts to me that this is that this is still today something that we have to discuss under the
That looks like a
cloak of
pentagram, Coach.
yeah. I mean, we
Very
have
demonic.
pentagrams here. This is the tree of life for
Oh.
for the Kabbalistic
This is not-
tradition. Again,
Yes.
scientists they tell us, hey, this has nothing to do with the ancient cylinder seals or the ancient depiction of the tree of life that we find on the Dalu from the Apkalus. No, this is a new tradition. But in a way, of course, the tree of life for the Kabbalistic tradition, for the Jewish rituals, we have this idea again that deities, angel-like deities, gave us these seeds of knowledge, these seeds of wisdom, and they're inside of us. And depending on what type of seed we cultivate the most, we have tendencies that we build in our character that can make us successful, that can make or break us. And this is the connection that we have with this all encompassing truth, right? So the tree of life stands, of course, for giving us fruits, for giving us food, for giving us nutrition, for extracting the nutrients, the ingredients out of the soil and making it blossom, making the flower blossom. But it also stands for the spiritual development, the growth that we have inside, and on what we focus. So we turn the inorganical matter into tangible physical matter. We transform ideas that we get out of the ether, out of the the unified field, the tree field that we have above us that is invisible, and we quite literally pick the apple of Adam and Eve out of the unified field, and then we transform this idea, this impulse, into something tangible. We start building shelters, we start giving life to communities, we start teaching people like we do today, we start connecting information and giving out these unique certificates of knowledge. This is what the tree of life actually stands for. Again, it's a spiritual and it's also a physical truth.
Yes, and
I wonder
fun
how
fact
far
about
this dates
What?
back to, because
Kabbalah
when
is quite recent. It's 12th century, but of course the tradition is way, way more ancient, and we have the connection that we're making today also through the show that is quite ancient.
And yes, the argument around gender when it comes to like alien species, yes, that would be interesting, because like there's always like the clarification that they're either male or female. That doesn't change. It's just that some of them look more feminine or masculine, but it still doesn't change the fact that the stories make it clear, yeah, there's only two genders. There's just like some look more androgynous than others, and this applies to humans as well. But
when
anyway,
I saw that, what Coach just saw, to me it looked like a very complicated pentagram, or one of those like very complex Ouija boards where you tell the spirit where you want.
In a way, they are. In a way, they are.
Are you from the Spanish Inquisition, good sir? You are 500 years too late.
Like something to summon. It looked like something you summon demons from. And given the history between Christianity and Judaism, for the first
he's a Jacobist. I knew it. He's a Jacobist.
Yeah.
For the first 1900 years of its collaborative existence, it wasn't very good.
I mean, let's be honest.
In recent years has it been positive.
There is a book, literally there's a literal book of Solomon. Like hey, this is the book that this very well-known white king, wrote in to let everybody know. Hey, this is how you can summon like very, very problematic demons that if you got enough testosterone in you, or I guess enough estrogen in you, you'll be able to control them. Well,
I wonder if every great religion has a fruit, or like a
they do. Mostly pine cone.
Catholicism has the pine cone. What does Protestantism have?
Well, the thing about Protestantism,
just rebellion.
No, exactly. They are not allowed to use abstract or like image metaphors. Actually, they destroy any type of image. They rebuke the idea that there is an image that can somehow represent a religion or faith. So if you look at the ascent of the House of Saud, right, the Saudi Arabian royal family that is now in possession of the ultimate power in the East, right? That family, they were the first, and the only one so far from all the Muslim tradition, from all the royal families of the Muslim tradition, that had the gut and the courage, or I don't know how you want to call it, to say that there shouldn't be any image, right? There shouldn't be anything. They kind of transformed the cult of what we have, that is coming out of the Muslim tradition into this cube. Right, they morphed it into this new. This is quite literally, again, it's the philosopher's stone. It's changing the perception, giving it a new label, stripping it away, everything that is also holy and in a way esoterical and spiritual about it, and just making it material.
Yes, and I find it very fascinating that you say that, because there is this idea in Rosicrucianism. There is this belief that, well, in a lot of these secret esoteric societies, there's this belief that originally religion was mostly used not as what we see it today, but more of a tool to remind people, of their true divine origins, and to let them know, hey, you are much more than what you think. Never forget that. Respect where you come from, but don't be bound to it all the time. Pave your own way. But
here's an interesting question, and then Dragon, you can continue. I wonder if they show any Star Trek episodes in Saudi Arabia, considering the main bad guy in the Next Generation and Voyager and the start of Deep Space Nine features a Borg cube as its main antagonist. And when you look at that thing in Mecha, it is pretty convincing. I mean,
Yes.
they even want to build like a Borg cube-like
Yes.
structure in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, to be like a
Mhm.
cultural center for the Saudis.
Yeah,
So I don't
like,
think they showed that show over there, because literally paints the idea of the cube as this great evil.
But basically,
I
the
don't know
cube
why, because oh
is
no,
the
go ahead.
hexagon. Is the cube is the three-dimensional representation of the two-dimensional hexagon, which is connected to the planet Saturn. And this is why the Muslims also, they have to travel 7 times around the cube.
The spheres, by the way, for the less known, basically he's saying that so you got a triangle, you got a circle, then that turns into a hexagon, 3-dimensional, 5-dimensional, 6-dimensional. When you see it, at the end of the day, it turns into a sphere. And if you look at it from Earth's perspective, it's a way to represent the concept of as above, so below, through divine geometry, basically. Okay, so there's more to it. That's what Coach is trying to say. And one of the crazy things is that I always think that that with religions, at the end of the day, I feel like something went wrong along the way, and where like I think something very bad went along. I don't know who the fuck did it, but all I know is we went from focusing on the spiritual side of things to the more idolatrous side.
Yes.
Yeah. So like we drifted. It's like how the Rosicrucians say it. According to them, in a lot of these societies, other societies.
Also interest in Rosicrucians, right? Rose and crooks. Again, we have the connection with the ancient past.
Yes.
Would have been a great, campaign stunt, though, for Star Trek after 9/11 to, compare the cubes and Islam's the Borg. We can actually have a comeback now, turn this into an arc. Could have like a Star Trek 9/11 moment with a cube.
Oh my God.
Talking of Star Trek, speaking of Star Trek, we remember that Enki was the builder of Eridu, right? Eridu, the first city, and Enki came from the planet Nibiru, and so Eridu is in Sumerian. You can also say Endor, which is the planet that they're fighting for in Star Wars, right? And Star Wars, the planet Endor, where we have the Ewoks living, is controlled by an artificial moon. So Joseph Campbell is telling us that Eridu means Earth, right? Earth. The first city is the first city on Earth. So Earth, Eridu, or in German Erde. It's the same word. So the Sumerian word Eridu is actually another word for the planet Earth. And so that word is the root word for Endor in the Star Wars movie. And in the Star Wars movie, that planet was controlled by this artificial moon that was the Death Star. And the Death Star was navigated by Lord of the Sith, a Seth or a Sith Lord. And Sith is, of course, the Lord of the underworld. He's the Dark Lord. He's the Lord of Darkness, or Ahriman in the Mithraic tradition. He's the Seth, right? When the sun sets, that is the god of conspiracy who killed Osiris, who then became the Lord of the underworld. So again, we have this very interesting connection here. The terms are similar. The narratives are always the same. They're just transported from one culture, from one civilization to the other.
Well, unfortunately, gentlemen, it is getting close to the 2-hour mark, so I might as well.
It's very sad. That's a very sad event. Like, I can't even say how sad it is. Really.
You know what?
Well, at least now you can have a serious talk, and as a side effect, everyone will leave. But in all seriousness,
right, we're losing the comedy.
In all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting quite late in the United Kingdom, but I always like to have a good talk with these two fine gentlemen and put a more reality-based and therefore comedic perspective on this, because I'm sure the establishment would watch 10 minutes of this and laugh their damn heads off. I'm giving you a reason to laugh from a different perspective. Great idea for a new Star Trek show. Ships, pinecone ships versus Borg cubes, battle for supremacy, and use the Crusades as a basis for it. Classic rip-off, No one remembers the Crusades, especially Americans with very low IQs, so you can get away with doing it. It can be called an original story. You win lots of awards, and you can just rip off historical events and twist them for the sake of science fiction and make Star Trek great again. You know where to find me, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Roger Athay, host and founder of Reality Based. We made plenty of videos for today, and we will make plenty of videos for tomorrow. So I'll let these two fine gentlemen wrap things up, because they usually like to wrap it up at about 2.5 hours. And fingers crossed, I can get a word in edgeways on future Joes, on future shows.
Another Ryan Roger Athay blooper.
Oh, wait. A great joke I saw in the chat from Pet Brett. Black Jesus.
No, that was me. Because he's like
Black Jesus. That's like
saying,
it
would be like Black Jesus then.
That's like saying Africa built a nation before Europeans arrived.
And Pat apparently Pat is saying it that way.
So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I better pop off. It's always a pleasure, gentlemen, and hopefully you all stick around and watch the end of this show. And hopefully in a few days' time, we have plenty of timestamps for plenty of Reality Based Presents videos on the Me on Other Shows playlist. It's simply called Reality Based Presents Me on Other Shows. Instead of fusing two playlists, I literally created a playlist which is the best of one and the best of the other, and incorporated into something new. It's like osmosis in a sense. But I better go get some rest, and of course, shout out to all my African followers. Wakanda forever. It's the greatest nation you've ever built. It's the greatest nation you've ever built, and it was created by 2 white Jews. Bye for now, everyone.
Yeah, he cracked me up. Man. Today he was on fire, man.
No,
that was great.
Yeah, but what else do we have left? I forgot.
Basically, we covered
everything.
Covered everything. Like with the Cygnus key today, we in our humble pursuit of connecting the dots and trying to find a new thread, a new narrative for the past that has been presented to us through the findings that we can make in architecture and of course in archaeology, and also in the sacred texts everywhere on this planet. In the first episode with the good Ryan Roger Athay, we talked about this mysterious constellation of Cygnus and how it's connected to very ancient cultures, right? Thousands of years before the advent of today's civilization. And again, in today's episode, we covered the very interesting, compelling evidence that we're getting from our very ancient, but also a bit more recent history in our past, whether that's in insignia, heraldry, in archaeology, and stone reliefs. We see the handbag, the rose and the watch, and of course the seed, the pine cone seed, kind of like an echo through time. In German and Peruvian culture, we see the cornucopia, which is just an echo of the tree of life bucket or tree of life tea, the bag that is the dalu. And so again, I think we have unearthed a very interesting tissue, nice interesting fabric that spins from New Zealand over to Tibet, to India, to Assyria, to Germany, to also to the UK, and where we to the Latin American cultures and Mesoamerican cultures as well, which is truly fascinating. And I just also thank you so much, man, for your knowledge. Dragon Slayer, you always man, you always knock me out of my boots. You're just you are a cornucopia of knowledge as well, my good friend. You are one of these great bags of valuable, timeless, immaculate information.
No, I appreciate it. I really do. So it's always great talking about these topics, because most of the time I'm talking shit or complaining about a crappy movie, and it's nice to just be able to talk like a normal person, be serious, dive into more eloquent projects than this movie was trash. It sucked balls.
It's a nice change
And
of
I'm like,
pace for sure. Yes.
very nice change of pace. I will say that it's wonderful. I always enjoy this. It reminds me that all that education, all that money that was used by my parents to educate me did not go to waste, and that all those
No,
hours I
absolutely.
spent watching random documentaries in the middle of the night was not a waste either. So I'm just glad we were able to cover this. I was going to mention something before Ryan left, but it was just a little extra tangent point. The fingers that we're showing on the Kabbalah. So, fun fact: the ancient Sumerians developed a counting system where
Oh,
basically
yes.
so basically they could count up to 18 with their fingers, because what they would do is each like segment division. Oh, hey, I'm glad. Brett.
Absolutely.
We try to turn off the program version and try
Yes.
to ignite the knowledge version. We always do. That's our objective anyway. We want people to have fun and think about these topics, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
we just want to bring awareness that these things are out there. We're not trying to convince you. We're just trying to tell you, hey, this is fun. This,
Absolutely. This
archaeology
is a
and
fun
history, they're
exploration.
fun. They're not boring.
And if people ask me like, hey, I mean, the COACHMC studio, you're an acting channel, you're an acting or entertaining channel, you're helping creatives. How is this connected to entertainment and creativity and acting? Let me just tell you this: ancient stories, mythology, all these tales and folklore. This is what great plays are all about. These are the stories that we play. These primordial characters, these goddesses, and these incredible clashes of forces, like we're also covering with the Greek mythology doodles. This is that's a theme that gets used and reused. And if you know the origin, if you know the source code, if you know the well where it kind of sprang off the first time, you have more effective access to this, and your weapons, your artistic weapons that you will forge, will be way more powerful and way more impactful than the superficial information, and the stuff that you can get in order just to kind of fabricate a little product. It's about kind of researching things that are associated also to your core value proposition. I mean, of course, we have our channels, we talk about certain topics, but in the end, we're just curious beings. And by feeling that everything is connected, the discoveries that we make through this research, that gives us, again, it kind of leads us to new paths of exploration, new ideas, new kind of ways of presenting, forming thoughts, and proposing value to our creative community. So it's a never-ending cycle. If you research, you kind of you make your discoveries, you implement the results of your research into your future endeavors, and so therefore you continuously improve the product.
It's called having a more colorful human experience. It's a blast. I'm just saying, it's quite a blast when you can do it.
Yes,
because if
I
I'm being
agree.
honest with you, the way the establishment wants people to do things, it's like they just want you to be a fucking mindless drone that's
Yes,
glued to
absolutely.
Twitter, to the negativity of Twitter all day fucking
Yes,
long. Like,
yes.
look, if I'm being honest, I love Twitter because it gives me opportunities to meet people, but god
Sure.
damn it, do they thrive
No,
on
it's
some of the
negativity,
lowest
engagement
common.
farming. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we're trying to let y'all know that there is more out
Yes,
there, because believe it or not, if somebody asks me just right off the bat, like, okay, you're talking on a guy's channel that's all about acting, how does this thing have to do with acting? Well, or acting or filmmaking in general. Oh, I don't know, let's see. Example, Lord of the Rings. Who was the head writer for those movies? Philippa Boyens. Where'd she get her inspiration to add extra lines that were not in the books but somehow match the author from? Well, she got them from Tolkien. Where did Tolkien get his inspiration from? Well, all kinds of varieties of mythology from
Norse
ancient Greece,
mythology,
from his own
Beowulf,
homeland. Yeah, exactly. He got it from mythology. Where did that come from? Well, that came from surviving records of these people. Where did they come from? I can go further down the line until we don't know who the fuck created that. But at the end of the day, guess what? It's fascinating because
Mhm.
people devoted their entire lives
That's sad.
to
Yes.
discovering the mystery. And ironically enough, if you did not know, the whole inspiration behind emulating the downfall of Numenor, like it was for
Oh,
Atlantis,
absolutely.
you know where that came from? Tolkien complained that he was in his journals that he kept having these unceasing dreams of being in an open plain in a verdant, beautiful island, and then just being witness constantly to the
This
same
is
recurring nightmare of being swallowed up by the sea. And he emulates this
yes,
by using Eowyn as a catalyst, where she asks Aragorn, "Hey,
absolutely.
I had this
Yes.
weird dream. What's that's all about?" And he's like, "Oh, that's the
Right.
downfall of Numenor. If you don't know this, because like it's not part of
Yes.
your ancestry, but like you can
It's an
tell."
excellent example.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's always
But
symbolism in everything, honestly.
and if you want to discover symbolism in your next script
Yes.
and extract it in most effective and powerful way and really understanding what those words mean and kind of getting right to the core of the essence of your character, of your world building, of your next pitch, of your next meeting presentation, of your next negotiation, and really want to, speak from your heart, but in a structured way without lacking passion and confidence, then please register now for free down in the description below, through my link tree on my Instagram, or directly on Eventbrite for my next masterclass breaking down the script, happening April 27th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon. And it's for those people that you just mentioned, for the curious one, for the genuinely, intrigued by what is happening behind the veil, behind the curtain. And we're trying to give you, of course, the tools that you need in order to perform, in order to present, in order to communicate your ideas in a compelling and remarkable way. So definitely join the tribe, April 27th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Noon. It's registered for free on Zoom, and afterwards you can have also the chance to talk to me directly. We have a 30-minute Q&A. It's going to be a blast. Very, very crucial and fundamental part of the acting, communicating, and entertaining process. Effectively understanding and breaking down the script.
No, and you guys should definitely join that, because guess what? Knowing how to break down a script and add your own touch to it that doesn't screw up the script, of course, or the overall plot of what they're trying to achieve, that, guess what that does? It makes you valuable. It means
Absolutely.
directors will see somebody cooperative and not an annoying fucker like Tom Cruise. You know?
I
I'm
love
just
you, buddy.
saying. I'm just
I love
saying.
you,
Like,
buddy.
do you want to
And
be Steven Seagal or do you want to be fucking Ian McKellen? Just saying. You got two choices here, son or miss.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Oh, good question.
and
This is
it's
for you.
online. It's for 2 hours. It's live. You can hang out, but as part of our masterclass is slightly different. You need to introduce yourself in the beginning and to kind of show yourself like everybody else is doing, and then you can escape into your anonymous existence again. But it's part of that, overcoming that first hurdle and really kind of exposing yourself like I do. We come together as a community, so we network, we talk about creativity. I show you all the very precious tools and the very interesting tips in order to break down the script. But yeah, there is just this initial part where you pitch yourself and why you're there. And also in the final Q&A session, you don't need to really show yourself, but you can ask questions, interact with me. And it's a fun way to, to get a different set of knowledge and also communicate maybe with a different type of community. And therefore maybe also getting new ideas and definitely kind of spark up your creative toolbox.
No, yeah, he will. Just as a warning, he may be Italian, but he was given a German upbringing, so that means that the second you fuck up, you'll be pointed at and going, and you'll like hear like
It's a dangerous combination for sure.
dangerous combination. It's like a freaking Black Widow deception at its core. No,
For
but no,
sure.
seriously, you guys. If you genuinely want to learn something new, like that's the place to go. I
Thanks so
really
much.
like y'all don't seem to understand, but this man has had experience in this industry since he was a kid. He
Oh yes.
knows all the ins and outs. He knows all the good and bad that comes with this profession. And if you, in hell, you don't even have to take this just for the sake of acting. If you just want to go from like a dweeb that can't talk to like their freaking shadow to somebody that can talk to like 20 people in a room without feeling like they're about to shit their pants, his advice will also help you with your public speaking. And this is not an advertisement. It's just helps develop confidence.
You have to
And
come
you know
down
what?
to Miami, sir.
Yeah.
You be part of the agency, man. So I have to take you with me. It's good. It's good.
I advertise here. I use Dragon Profile. I advertise all the time.
What about that day? And here, as before we go to the outros, there is a little sneak peek of my upcoming drawing that I will present for our Saturday night hypnosis. This is going to be an epic drawing where finally I've kind of captured all of us. So there is going to be a very exclusive sneak peek for all of you guys who had the courage, the patience, and the resilience to hang out till the very end with us. Thank you so much, Chad. And therefore, you should be awarded with the sneak peek of my upcoming drawing of the Saturday night hypnosis pen. Are you ready?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, that was it. So thank you so much.
Barely nothing. I asked for more. Oh man.
No, it's the end result is gonna be great. So I
No,
can't wait
it looks
to.
good. I mean, the half frame visual. I mean, it looked good. I'm not sure what was in
You're
it.
the biggest character on this drawing.
What?
I just
No
realized
way.
that. Yeah, no, you're even bigger than Hypno on this drawing. He will be fucking pissed. No,
You
for
know,
sure.
I gotta admit, it was kind of funny because on Saturday they were like, "Oh man, bro, how did I know you were gonna say that shit?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess I have a good impression on you because you remember every fucking thing I say, even stuff I said 5 months ago." Yeah, no, it's awesome, dude. We missed you, sir.
Yes, I
Would
will.
you return for this Saturday?
Yes. My
Okay,
mom
good.
is here. She flew out from Germany. I thought I could kind of, skip the second, but no. Of course, we did something together. And then the next morning, also, I had to get up at 3:30 because my first client was in
Damn.
Italy at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I had to be behind the computer already at 4 a.m. but in a fit and in a good shape. I can't present myself like completely deranged and derailed, so that's why I went to bed very early that
night. 3 hours later, this is fucking crazy. What's wrong, sir? Oh, so, I was in a stream with maniacs. I'm sorry, I'm recovering.
Yeah, no, I can't risk it also because some of these clients are they are very exclusive clients, and of course they demand a certain level of professionality, and so therefore I had to make sure that I was in a good shape, in a good mood, and very attentive and super focused. I had to get to bed very early, but I will not miss out on the next ones for sure. Give us your outro, good sir. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us about your mission on YouTube and why you're such a great demon dragon.
Well, my objective on YouTube is to release my video review, which will be coming out this week. I will release it this week. I'm only one step behind. I know. Fucking. Oh god. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, there is going to be a video coming out this week on my review of the American Society of Magical Black People. I can't say that word because I don't want Coach's channel to get banned in 2 seconds. Okay, unlike Hypno, I want Coach to build his clout from the beginning. Okay, I'm fostering a second live stream channel, but no, yeah, if you never heard of that movie, don't worry. It's
guys, check out
very
his
shitty
reviews.
movie.
It's amazingly funny. Great editing. He's got a great voice. He's great at impersonating. The clips are like he deserves more subscribers, more views, and more likes. So definitely jump over to Dragon Slayer commentaries.
But yeah, no. For my channel, there is that upcoming review. After that, I will do one on this peculiar Civil War movie that Wyatt can't stop fucking talking about. Like, it's if like, for all I can think of is, what if journalists from Kotaku wrote a fucking movie on the Civil War and this is what they got? I might just make a funny joke about that, but I'm gonna look at it and then review it, and then after that, I gotta prepare myself mentally and spiritually because the 19th, which is this Friday, I think, part 2 of Zack Snyder's fucking ejaculated feces, the Rebel Moon. It's coming out, and I gotta
I
talk
have a
about
friend. I have a friend on that show, and he told me like,
it. You
"Oh,
do?
yes,
Who
yes,
is
yes."
he? I'll
No,
point
no, I
him
can't tell you.
out.
No. And
I'm
he's
just
like,
kidding.
"Yeah, did you watch it? Did you watch it?" Like, yeah. And what do you think? I can't hear you. You're breaking up. No, what do you think of the show? You're freezing. No, what do you think of?
Was he an extra?
Coach?
Can I get that much?
It was really. It literally went like this.
Oh my god, no, that's crazy. But no, yeah, that I'm gonna be reviewing that, and then after that, I'm just gonna talk about a good movie. God damn it, okay? I need
Yes.
either that or I'll work on a script talking about the crazy the crazy impact of messaging that a certain movie did. Probably I'll use Rambo. I'm kind of in the works. The first Rambo movie, the historical impact of the perception on veterans. I think that's something I want to touch upon. But but after probably in between, as I'm working on it, I'll have to review the trash season 2 of Velma HBO show because that comes out on the 25th, Coach. So you will suffer with everyone else. Okay,
I know
you will not escape. And just to drive the whole thing home, I'm sure sometime in like 4 months, maybe 9 months, I don't know. Rings of Power season 2 comes out. Dun dun dun. I'll be reviewing that as well. Yes, sir.
We need to let's do a shared review on your channel live about us destroying Rings of Power. I would love to.
Oh my god!
You guys know, whoever touches Professor Tolkien, especially for Dragon Slayer commentaries and for myself, is to us is a death mark, right? That's
it is. It's death. It's just personified.
Right, it's anathema for us. That's absolutely not acceptable. We have this one single faith, and yes, maybe we're a bit stiff, but we do not. This is our line in the sand.
Why don't you want black elves, man? Like, chill, bro. It's like you're way too stuck up in your ways.
I'm sorry. No. Like, no, it's quality. It's called quality.
Didn't you like the black capoeira elf?
Quality,
slapping metal.
Don't touch Tolkien. Don't touch him.
Do not touch my Tolkien. I will destroy you.
Thank you so much, Dragon Slayer commentaries for tonight. Thank you so much for coming over, guys. You will see us way more often in the future. I'm afraid. Unfortunately, we like each other.
With Mr. Ryan, of course.
Interested, right? We have also with this other kind of racist type of guy from Wales.
Edgy Airman.
Yes. Retracting hairline Arrowman. And that's his
receding Arrowman.
Thank you, Dungeon Master Blaster. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you to the beautiful lady called Maxi Dame. Thank you also to Lisa. Thank you. Where was Rosita today? She was not here. Vinsinger was here today. A lot of good folks in the chat, also on Instagram, Facebook. It was a terrific show. I think, again, we've laid another mosaic piece that connects the past to our present and therefore can show us a way into the future. It was a fascinating show. Next time, we're just gonna continue with the research. We're gonna dig through the material. It always gets us a little bit, and we need always a bit of time also for the drawing to get everything mapped out and planned out. Also, we are very busy content creators, but we're trying to make this happen as regularly as possible every 2 weeks. And then we're definitely going to ramp up production also to kind of deliver more content to you throughout the year. You're going to definitely catch us also on Saturday Night Hypnosis every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hypnotics YouTube channel. Twice a week, open class doodles over here at the COACHMC studio, 3 p.m. on a Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday. And we have a lot of talks and acting coming up. That's a recorded show with coaches, actors, international entertainers from all over the globe talking about their experience, their mission, their upbringing, and what they are bringing now to the table. It's also a very, very interesting, informative talk where I can only recommend you to be present because it's another view on how to be on how to improve, on how to get better. And I want to leave you with this trinity of knowledge. And that is also, I think, the most important piece of information that gets delivered to us through the handbags of the gods. And the seed of life is the seed of thinking well, of speaking well, and of acting well. This is the trinity of knowledge that we should bring to our everyday actions in order to foster the best products for us and for our environment. So thank you so much, guys. Stick with us. Be part of the masterclass, April the 27th. Register with the link down below directly on Eventbrite or through my link tree on Instagram. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. It's been a hell of a show. Thank you so much, Dragon Slayers, Ryan, Raja, Ethe, and everybody present in the chat. And I think now, guys, I think the time has come, because I truly believe that now you're ready to perform.